Voluntary Guidelines for Securing Sustainable Small-Scale Fisheries, Gender Equity and Equality. Small-scale fisheries include diverse and dynamic activities, from traditional low-technology and low-capital fishing methods to activities such as boat building, net making, fish processing, and marketing. These fisheries tend to be strongly anchored in local communities. For many small-scale fish workers, fishing is a way of life. Small-scale fisheries contribute about half of all fish catches in developing countries. 90 to 95% of these landings are for local human consumption, making a major contribution to food security and nutrition. Small-scale fisheries employ more than 90% of the world's capture fishers and fish workers. About half of them are women.
Women engage in all aspects of activities along the fisheries value chain, like shellfish collection, diving for abalone and pearls, fishing and mending nets. They are often responsible for post-harvest activities, including trade and labor-intensive value addition, such as drying, smoking, and salting. At the same time, we still often observe inequality between men and women in small-scale fisheries. Women also have responsibilities as caretakers of the family and communities. Their contributions to the fisheries sector are not always adequately recognized and paid. Power imbalances along the value chain are frequent. While women are involved in different stages of the value chain, strong middlemen often dictate the prices of fish that women sell. Limited access to credit for women contributes to this imbalance. The conditions under which women work in small-scale fisheries can threaten their health. For example, the smoke produced through certain traditional ways of preparing fish or hand injuries from peeling shrimp. For indigenous women, gender-based discrimination is often compounded by ethnic-based discrimination. Women are also often subject to different forms of violence in fishing communities and in the marketplace. International conventions and standards provide a strong framework for the protection of fundamental human rights, including the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women.
In 2014, governments endorsed the Voluntary Guidelines for Securing Sustainable Small-Scale Fisheries in the context of food security and poverty eradication. This is the first internationally negotiated instrument that specifically addresses small-scale fisheries. The SSF Guidelines seek to raise the visibility, recognition, and enhancement of the already important role of small-scale fisheries and to contribute to global and national efforts towards eradication of hunger and poverty. One of the guiding principles of the SSF Guidelines is gender equality and equity, calling for recognition of the vital role women play in small-scale fisheries and the promotion of equal rights and opportunities for women and men. Chapter 8 of the SSF Guidelines is dedicated to gender equality. Gender is also highlighted in all other chapters on tenure, sustainable management, social development, value chains, climate change, etc. With regard to tenure, for example, the SSF Guidelines call for special attention for women tenure rights to ensure they have secure, equitable, socially and culturally appropriate tenure rights to fishery resources.
The SSF Guidelines call on states to implement relevant international instruments and to enable civil society, in particular women, to monitor this. The SSF Guidelines also recognize the need for better technology for women. Appropriate improvements of infrastructure across the fish value chain, including transport and market facilities, will have positive impacts on incomes for women. It is crucial to ensure women's equal participation in fisheries organizations and in decision-making. Women often play an important role in bringing in a community perspective into the fisheries debate. There are many examples of well-organized women-led small-scale fisheries organizations that we can learn from. The SSF Guidelines call on states, small-scale fisheries actors, and all other relevant parties to make concerted efforts to ensure gender equality becomes the norm in small-scale fisheries development. It is now up to all of us to use these SSF guidelines as a powerful tool to establish gender-equitable small-scale fisheries.